Here is a quick overview of the gallery block in Cwicly. The gallery block allows you to add several images and arrange and style them to your liking. You can have multiple galleries in one gallery block. You can change its number of columns, be as particular as you want about the image's size, have smooth hover effects, and much more. Let's add a gallery block into this section. Before we go through the different settings, let's first add images to this gallery, so that we can better illustrate what we're doing. You can quickly add images to your gallery in the primary tab in the Galleries panel by selecting the pencil icon. You can also rename your gallery, which is handy for those who have multiple galleries in one gallery block. Here you can choose any image available in your media library or upload some directly. The choice depends on your use case. Once your desired number of images has been selected, you can simply select the Create a New Gallery button. Here you can edit your current gallery, which means you can rearrange the order of the images, add a caption, add images to the gallery that might have been overlooked, and lastly delete images from the gallery by selecting the cross icon. Once you have the desired gallery, you can simply select Insert Gallery. And there, our gallery is added. You can add as many galleries as your project requires by simply selecting the plus icon in the same panel that we added our images. Of course, you can add names to these galleries to make them more familiar. The process to upload images to these galleries is exactly the same as for the first gallery. I will quickly add images to these galleries. As you can see, every image that we added to every gallery is currently in view. This is perfectly normal since by default we are in the All tab, which means that every image added to any gallery is visible. In order to see images from the specific galleries, you can simply select the different gallery names found at the top of the gallery block. As you can see, our images change accordingly. However, if you don't wish to have an all category, you can naturally disable it in the filter bar panel by deactivating the Filter All toggle. Now, let's start by styling this basic looking gallery by tweaking its columns and its overall look. We can do so by scrolling to the top of the primary tab. You can choose to have a gallery that is either a grid type or a masonry type. Basically, the grid layout will make all the images have the same width and height. If an image is smaller or bigger than the set height, it will be cropped so that it can take on the same height as the other images. On the other hand, the masonry grid layout doesn't have fixed height rows, thus it optimizes the use of space inside the web page by reducing any unnecessary gaps. For example, in this gallery I have a vertical image. Since the gallery is set for the grid type, the image is being cropped to fit the grid. However, if I set the gallery type to masonry, it is no longer cropped and can take up the necessary space for its size. Here you can modify the number of columns your gallery block is on, set a specific height for your images, as well as modify the horizontal and vertical gap/gutter between images. You get to be as specific about the way your gallery looks. As a little side note, everything you style in whatever gallery tab you are currently on is reflected for every gallery. What I mean is, you don't have to worry about what tab you're editing in, since it will be applied for every gallery. Below these settings, you can link your gallery images to either different URL links or by simply setting the Lightbox setting, which will display your image once clicked on/actioned. A lightbox is a window overlay that appears over a web page, blocking some of the content and dimming and disabling the rest of the background. In this instance, it basically means that the window will display your image taking up the majority of the user's viewport. You can simply link them by toggling the link property and then choosing either URL or Lightbox in the drop-down menu. Let's first explore the URL link type. As you can see, every image has the link icon, which once selected, you can simply paste in your desired URL link. I will set up a URL link for the image. Let's see this in action on the front end. If I select my gallery image, I get redirected to the link I had set up, as expected. Now let's head back to the link type settings and select Lightbox. As you can see, the link icon disappears. With this setting, we don't have to set anything up since it is automatically generated by Cwicly. Let's see the Lightbox type on the front end. When I select any image, a lightbox pops up with the corresponding image. This type of link is beneficial for those who use galleries to show off their portfolio projects, where the user can blow up the image and see more details. We can now move on to the text panel, which is the place where you can set a title and description for your gallery's images. All there is to do to set them up is to activate them, then style them to your liking, and lastly, fill the text areas with your desired title and description. You can spice these elements up as much or as little as you like, or not even have them activated at all. The choice is yours. For a nice effect, you can set the transparency to 0 for them to then appear on hover, which I find helps to declutter the image's visual space. Switching to hover mode, we can set a white text color. I will now set a black text color on hover, since later on we will be setting a white overlay. For the moment, we have a flat transition effect. We can remedy to this by simply heading to the Image panel and Transitions Animations panel and setting a 0.5 second duration. We can also notice the spacing area, which allows you to set a distance between your description and title. Below this setting is the Galleries panel, where we have already been to set our static gallery. Of course, you have the possibility to create a dynamic gallery, which you can set dynamic data for by creating an ACF Gallery Field Group. ACF, which stands for Advanced Custom Fields, is a tool you can use to quickly set up dynamic elements that need to be repeated. So we can select the dynamic icon and set the data to ACF. However, we need to create an ACF group for a dynamic gallery to be set up. So let's exit the Gutenberg Editor and head to the dashboard. Let's head to the Custom Fields tab. We can add a new field group by selecting the Add New button. Let's give it a familiar name such as Gallery. Now let's add a field which we can also name. We can set the field type to Gallery. We can leave the return format, which specifies the format of the returned data, to Image Array since it contains more information. There are more settings that you can choose from if you have a specific gallery in mind. We simply need to publish this field group and that's it. Let's now head back to our gallery block. In the dynamic settings, we can finally set the group to Gallery and the ACF group to Gallery. However, as you can tell, our gallery remains empty since we haven't added any image to our Gallery ACF group. We can quickly do so by selecting the arrow on the right-hand corner and select the Add to Gallery button. You can choose any image from your media library and even optionally directly upload files. Then you can push the Select button to upload them to the ACF gallery. Then, to see them in your gallery, remember to update your page. And voila, our dynamic gallery is full of pleasant images. As you can tell, the dynamic gallery picks up the styles we had set for our static gallery. This is greatly handy since it means that you can choose to design with a static or dynamic gallery. Either way, it won't break your gallery's styles. This means that you get to switch between both of them to your heart's content without any drawbacks. However, there are a few key differences between designing a static or dynamic gallery. For instance, for the link type, you can only select the Lightbox type. Additionally, setting up a title and description is a little different, since you have to set them in the ACF Gallery field. This is simply done by selecting an image and filling in the title and caption text areas. However, don't forget to update your page for these elements to appear. Let's now move on to the image panel, which is where you can style the look of the images by setting overlays, effects, etc. Choose from a selection of quick styles and set transition duration as we saw together earlier when we set our smooth transition duration. Needless to say that these styles can be affected on different states, which can give nice effects. First, you can set overlays. I will set a white overlay on hover so that our title and description are more readable. You can also use preset animations by selecting from the animation drop-down menu. These can make for easy and fun ways to display your images. Below, you can find the opacity setting, which is useful to create certain effects. Next, we have the blend mode drop-down, which is an effect you can use to change how colors blend together. In the styling panel, you can set a background color, padding, border radius, border color, and border width. Don't be worried that the background color doesn't seem to be applied. Simply add a bit of padding and you'll see the expected background color. Speaking of padding, for zooming, de-zooming effect on hover, I will add an equal 40 pixel padding. And look, just with that, our gallery gains movement and dynamism. Lastly, in the Effects panel, you can set any desired effect. I will add a 5 pixel blur on hover. Finally, we can explore the filter bar panel, which unfortunately doesn't sell alcoholic beverages, but it does let you customize the filtering items. You can choose to completely deactivate the gallery names and all tabs found at the top of the gallery by simply untoggling the active property. However, you can choose to only deactivate the All tab depending on your preferences. Below these two toggle buttons, you can also rename the All tab to something more familiar or useful depending on your use case. You can then customize the spacing between the filtering items and the gap between them and the gallery with the spacing and gap properties. You can also align these items depending on what you find looks best. Of course, these items can be typographically stylized to your exact needs through the typography panel. In the button panel, you can make these items look more button-like by adding background colors, borders, and so on. You can also style the gallery tab the user is currently on by selecting the current button. Last but not least, the gallery block is of course responsive, which means that depending on the screen size, the appearance of the gallery can be modified suitably. Before we showcase this, I do want to point out once again that all the styling we have added is reflected on every gallery. As a little side note, you can obviously copy, duplicate, link a gallery block, which can quicken your workflow. On tablet and mobile view, you have access to all the properties to ensure your gallery's responsiveness by changing the number of columns, their row and column gap, image height, and so on. And that's how the Cwicly Gallery Block works.